There are eerie and enigmatic places in the world that were once bustling with life and activity, but have now become strangely abandoned. In this video, we will explore mysterious locations that have been overshadowed by horror and left to drift in the depths of the sea. Places with unimaginable histories. Along the northern coast of Oregon stands a silent lighthouse, notorious throughout history for its dark reputation. Locals call it Terrible Tilly, a nickname born from its official name, Tillamook Rock Lighthouse. Perched about 2 kilometers off the coast and 32 kilometers from the Columbia River's mouth, it sits atop a perilous, rugged rock formation spanning 1 acre. Its construction began in 1878. Yet, the severe difficulty in transporting materials and the locals' unwillingness to help meant that over 500 days were needed to complete the project. Consequently, it became the most expensive lighthouse ever built on the U.S. West Coast. Even before its completion in January 1881, the treacherous conditions and unpredictable weather had already earned it its ominous moniker. Legend holds that Terrible Tilly played a part in the sinking of a sailing ship named Lupacia, which claimed the lives of its entire crew. On one stormy, fog-shrouded night, the ship's captain realized too late that they were dangerously near the shore only after Mr. Wheeler, who oversaw Tilly's construction, heard desperate cries from the crew. He ordered lanterns to be lit and fires set as a warning, but despite these frantic efforts, the ship vanished into the mist. The following morning, the bodies of all 16 crew members were found scattered along the shore of Tillamook Head, with only the ship's dog surviving. Over the years, lighthouse keepers at Tilly reportedly suffered from madness, death, and even encounters with ghosts. Before the lighthouse was built, Native Americans believed that malevolent spirits inhabited deep tunnels within the rock. In one chilling account, all 4 keepers claimed to have witnessed a ghost ship accompanied by eerie wails and agonizing cries. Decades of brutal weather battered the structure, eroding the surrounding rock, shattering its lenses, and ultimately rendering it unstable. As a result, the lighthouse was decommissioned in 1957 and sold to private investors in 1959. After changing hands several times, Terrible Tilly was acquired by a group of investors in 1980 who planned to transform the island into a columbarium, aptly named Eternity at Sea. Although they set aside space for 300,000 urns, only 30 interments ever occurred, and the harsh environment eventually caused the urns to deteriorate. By 2022, the island was listed for sale at $6.5 million. Though extensive repairs were needed due to bird nesting and sea lion habitation. Despite new ownership and structural changes, claims of ghostly sightings at Terrible Tilly continue to persist. Situated along the coast of Estonia near Tallinn Bay, Patarei Prison is an expansive fortress covering roughly 4 hectares. Constructed between 1830 and 1837, under Russian Emperor Nicholas I, the structure was later repurposed as a garrison after the Crimean War and eventually converted into a prison by the newly independent Estonia after World War I. At its peak, Patarei was the largest prison in Estonia, accommodating up to 1,000 inmates and even boasting its own hospital. To serve its new function, bars were added to the windows and the walls were reinforced. In the 1920s, the facility was expanded to hold a growing number of arrested communists, quickly earning a notorious reputation for its horrifying conditions where brutal violence and torture became routine. Beginning in 1940, the prison experienced several regime changes. During the Soviet occupation that year, former prisoners were pardoned or had their sentences reduced, while government officials, military officers, and others labeled as spies or enemies of the regime were imprisoned, many facing execution or exile to Siberia. Between 1941 and 1944, under Nazi occupation, the prison was renamed Tallinn Labor and Correctional Camp No. 1. serving as a detention center for Estonians targeted for political and racial reasons, including local Jews. Functioning as a forced labor camp with likely executions in its early years, it later acted as a transit camp for prisoners sent out of Estonia. After the Soviets reoccupied Estonia in 1944, the facility was renamed Detention Center No. 1 and operated by the Ministry of Internal Affairs of the Estonian Soviet Socialist Republic. It primarily held political prisoners and detainees under investigation, many of whom were subsequently sent to forced labor camps across the Soviet Union. Patarei remained in operation until 2002, when the Estonian government ordered its closure. Today, explorers wandering its abandoned corridors still uncover traces of the lives once lived there. Visitors often report a profound sense of unease as they pass decaying walls, heavy iron doors, dimly lit cells, and eerie surgical rooms, many convinced that the spirits of former inmates continue to haunt the prison. Even after Estonia regained its independence, Patarei remained a potent symbol of the oppression endured under Nazi and Soviet regimes. To preserve its grim history, the Estonian Institute of Historical Memory is working to establish a museum dedicated to communist crimes, slated to open in 2025. In the Gulf of Finland, near the Russian shores and close to St. Petersburg, lies a man-made island that was originally constructed as a naval fortress. Later, it served a far more lethal purpose, earning the ominous name Plague Island. Built between 1838 and 1845 as a strategic military base, Alexander Fortress was designed to control the vital Gulf of Finland and protect crucial shipping routes between Russia, the Baltic Sea, and the Atlantic Ocean. While not the first of its kind, it became one of the most impressive fortifications in the region. Engineers established its foundation by driving 5,535 wooden pillars, each approximately 12 meters long, deep into the seabed, layering them with sand, concrete, and granite slabs. The massive fortress, which spanned 3 floors and covered over 5,000 square meters, once housed 1,000 soldiers, 103 cannons, and an additional 34 weapons on its rooftop. During the Crimean War, 1853 to 1856, the fortress played a strategic role despite never being directly attacked. However, its purpose changed dramatically in the late 19th century when the Russian government formed a plague prevention commission. By 1897, the island had been converted into an advanced biological research laboratory focused primarily on developing plague vaccines. Outfitted with a scientific library, biosafety labs, and incineration rooms for infected test animals, the facility also studied other deadly diseases such as tuberculosis, cholera, scarlet fever, and typhus. Between 1904 and 1907, the hazardous nature of the research led several staff members to contract the plague, resulting in numerous deaths, including that of the chief physician. In one instance, an infected doctor reportedly cured himself with an experimental serum and eventually recovered. Modern accounts suggest that plague-infected rabbits, monkeys, guinea pigs, and horses were once housed in a dedicated stable on the island. In 1917, Alexander Fortress ceased operations, with its research responsibilities transferred to larger facilities across Russia. The Navy utilized the island for several decades, but it was ultimately abandoned in 1983. Left to decay, the fortress later became notorious as a site for illegal parties and wild gatherings. In response, the government sealed off the island and initiated plans for a $43 million restoration project. Which one of these 3 mysterious places do you think was more creepy? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, see simple, think deep.